Pull up. Park it. Kick back, spark it. Welcome to the spot where money talks honest. Yeah. This is Gosh Talk with Bill Haase. Real life money in your front seat. From the paycheck to the profit. Turn that I don't know to I got this. Gosh Talk with Bill Haase. Blueprint stacked on the workbench. From the hustle to the harvest. Learning what they never really taught us. So if you're tired of the fine print winning, slide a chair in, that's a new beginning. We keep it straight, keep it smart, keep it classy. You're tuned in now, Gosh Talk with Bill Haase.
This week on Garage Talks with Bill Haase, my podcast, I'm going to try something a little different this time. Never done this before, but I'm going to get my message across as well. So I'm going to show you how AI can be used in a different manner. So what I've done is I've downloaded my book onto an AI service, and what they did is turn that into a 35-minute podcast all about my book. And the only way you can really tell that it's AI is because these two people know my book better than I do. So take a listen in and see what some of this new technology can do for you, some good things that it can do for you. So I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to seeing you again next week with special guests coming up. Thank you so much.
You know that feeling, the one where you look at your bank account, maybe think about your bills and just feel this knot in your stomach.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe it's just that sense that your money just kind of vanishes, like the second it shows up.
It's incredibly common, that feeling. Money is so, well, it's fundamental, isn't it? But actually understanding it, controlling it, that feels, for a lot of people, just impossible to get a handle on.
Exactly. Which is why we wanted to do this deep dive today. We're really digging into our relationship with money, and we're using a source you brought in.
Yeah.
This manuscript, Our Mindset on Money. It's easy to control, so why don't we? By Bill Haase.
Right. This manuscript really tackles that question head on. You know, if managing money should be straightforward, why is it such a huge struggle for so many of us? The endorsements actually highlight that. They talk about blending practicality with mindset.
Making finance approachable.
Yeah, making it approachable, giving some clarity. Like Dave Nerdle calls it a toolkit for thriving. And Connor Tyson talks about, breaking free from feeling overwhelmed by it all.
Okay, so our mission today, using this material, is to pull out the really key insights, maybe some surprising bits from Haase's work. We want to help you understand maybe the why behind your own financial habits and see how sometimes, honestly, really simple shifts just based on being aware can make a big difference. Moving from just letting things happen financially.
Default mode.
Default mode, exactly. To living with real intention.
Okay.
Let's dive in.
All right, so let's unpack this. The manuscript points to what it calls the root cause of so much financial difficulty, and it's something that hits everyone regardless of age or income, apparently. It's this big lack of financial literacy. Yeah,
that's really the foundation of the author's argument. He actually quotes Connor Tyson on this, saying the number one problem in today's generation and economy is the lack of financial literacy. And, the crucial thing is it's not usually taught in schools, not unless you actively go looking for it, which is kind of wild, isn't it? Considering how central money is to, well, pretty much everything. And the manuscript makes this really important point about why it persists. It's like a cycle, generation to generation.
Exactly. Parents often just don't talk openly about money. Maybe not even with each other, let alone with their kids. So that knowledge just doesn't get passed down. And this comes from the author's own experience, as a financial advisor. He saw it firsthand. Money is one of those things, maybe like sex he mentions, that spouses often just avoid talking about, honestly.
So if it's not happening at home, where do young people learn this vital stuff?
Right. And the result is huge. Instead of us controlling our money,
we feel controlled by it.
Exactly. And it starts really early, shaping those core habits. Think about the example Haase gives. A young person goes to college, gets a debit card, and basically learns how to spend without really connecting it to earning or budgeting.
It's all outflow. No concept of inflow management.
Right. And then, maybe after college, the debit card goes away. But that spending habit, it's still there. You get a job, maybe a credit card, and suddenly there are all these unplanned expenses piling up. Because that basic understanding of how to manage money, how to budget, it was never really built. The manuscript points out even if parents say you should budget, if they don't show you how or talk about it.
The cycle just continues.
Yeah, which leads right into the mindset piece. Haase really emphasizes how much our beliefs, our attitudes about money, the stuff we inherit maybe, how much that shapes our decisions.
And here's a really interesting insight he pulls out about behavior. Spending. It's easy.
Yeah.
It feels good, right? Gives you that little immediate buzz.
Stimulation.
Yeah. But earning money, that's hard work. It doesn't give you that same instant kick. And that difference, that gap, kind of limits our ability to see our patterns clearly and, change them.
It explains why, for so many people, especially in America, the author notes, the default is just spend what you make pretty much as soon as you make it.
And the numbers back that up. The manuscript cites, I think it was MarketWatch and Forbes, saying something like 66% to 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Which is staggering.
It really is. And the author makes the point, it's often driven by habit, not just low income.
Yeah, think about the classic example he uses.
Yeah.
You get a raise or a bonus.
Yeah.
What's the first thought for most people?
How to spend it.
Exactly. It's a splurge. And poof, it's gone.
Yeah.
Doesn't really improve your long-term situation.
It's kind of like that other statistic Haase includes, the really startling one. About 70% of people who get a big windfall, like winning the lottery, they end up broke again within just a few years.
Wow. And the author actually saw this even with high earners. He talks about his experience with NFL alumni. Guys making significant money, but they struggled because they just never learned the basics of how to actually handle it over time.
So it really hammers home that point. It's not just about how much comes in.
No.
It's about the choices you make consciously about how you use it.
And that brings us to this really powerful idea Haase introduces, using a quote from Anthony DeMello. What you are not aware of, you are a slave to. What you are aware of, you control.
Ooh, that's central, isn't it? It basically says the very first step to changing anything financially is just becoming aware, seeing what you're actually doing.
Exactly. That awareness itself is what unlocks the potential for change. And often, they're simple changes, but they can have profound effects.
And the manuscript is clear. This isn't about, living like a miser or tracking every single cent just for the sake of it.
No, not at all. It's about developing that awareness of your mindset, your habits, and understanding how gaining that control leads to all these other benefits in life, like less stress, better health, stronger relationships, just more freedom, really.
There's a great example in the material, right, about the author's son.
Oh, yeah, the car story.
Yeah, deciding to sell his expensive car. It wasn't just about saving money on payments.
No, it was about recognizing the burden, the stress that car represented, and making a conscious, aware choice for his future well-being. It was a mindset shift.
And this idea of awareness, it's baked into the simple budgeting approach Haase suggests, especially focusing on that, what does he call it, the incidentals category?
Yes, incidentals. After you cover your fixed costs, your variable costs, what's left? And crucially, where does that money actually go?
That's the kicker, isn't it? The incidentals.
Yeah.
It's often the most revealing part. Forces you to actually see where the discretionary money goes. Do you really know how much you spend on coffee every week? Or those little online buys?
Right. And the manuscript stresses that even though we often ignore that category, it's absolutely key to understanding your real spending patterns, to building that awareness.
And linking that awareness directly back to stress. Haase makes the argument that money itself isn't inherently stressful.
Well,
It's the lack of control over it that causes the stress. Living in that financial default mode, that equals higher stress.
and the flip side is true too. When you get more financially savvy, more in control, your stress levels naturally go down, your overall well-being improves.
It's not just an individual thing either, is it? The manuscript notes companies are noticing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Companies that offer financial education programs to their employees, they report seeing real benefits like improved productivity, better retention rates, just happier employees because people aren't constantly weighed down by money worries.
And for you, the individual listening, those benefits are huge. Less stress means better health. And maybe, really importantly, better relationships, right? Money fights are such a common source of tension.
Oh, huge. And Haase makes this critical point about income increases. So often when people start earning more, they don't actually save more. They just expand their spending, lifestyle inflation.
Right, to match the new income.
Yeah, which just keeps that stress cycle going. He tells this anecdote about dual-income baby boomer households, how quickly those higher lifestyle costs became fixed habits, making it really hard to adjust if circumstances change later on.
He uses that show, Pawn Stars, as kind of a vivid example of this mindset. People come in to sell stuff, and they're almost always talking about how they're going to spend the money, rarely about saving it or investing it. Financial literacy starts to shift that whole perspective.
It also helps you to step away from just living by default, which includes being really influenced by perception. That pressure to look wealthier or more successful than maybe you are.
Oh, that's a big one the manuscript unpacks. We're kind of conditioned, aren't we, to see someone with the big house, the fancy car, the designer clothes.
And assume they must be smart, must be wealthy, just based on appearances.
Yeah. And Haase connects this perception trap to, well, maybe laziness. Why do we sometimes just accept what celebrities or politicians say about complex stuff like the economy, even if they have zero expertise?
Because they project that image of success or authority.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just easier to believe them than to do the hard work of researching it yourself.
And the manuscript argues pretty strongly that this combination, perception and laziness, is actively used against us. Tools to get our money.
Yeah, think about how new tech is marketed, like electric vehicles, for example. All the ads focus on the cool features, the environmental benefits.
Right, the positives.
But the potential downsides, like the cost of installing a charger at home, the impact on your insurance, the hassle of finding public chargers sometimes, that stuff is often downplayed or hidden in the small print.
The author shares that really personal story, the hip replacement one, as a powerful analogy here.
Yeah, that's intense.
He admits, he rushed into it, didn't do his homework on the type of implant, just trusted the expert, focused only on the positive outcome he wanted, getting back to being active.
And suffered for years because of complications nobody warned him about.
Yeah.
Pain, more surgery, huge cost.
It really drives home that lesson, doesn't it? Doing your homework, understanding the real costs and risks. It's not just about buying a TV. It applies to any major life decision where you're relying on outside info without checking it yourself.
It helps you reframe costs differently, too. Like Haase suggests thinking about a car payment, say $400 a month for 4 years. Yeah. Don't just see it as $400. See it as $400 every single month that is completely unavailable for anything else, saving, investing experiences for that entire time.
That's the opportunity cost.
Exactly. What else could you be doing with that money?
And this lack of homework, this willingness to just believe, it's exactly why scams work so well, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
We believe what we're told. And the manuscript adds that sometimes greed, wanting that quick buck, or even fear, like being afraid to admit you got fooled, can make people fall even deeper into a scam.
Okay, so awareness is step one, but then how do you practically start getting control? The manuscript offers some simple tools, starting with budgeting using that KISS method.
Right. Keep it simple,
Yeah. The idea is just basic. Write down your monthly income, list your fixed costs, rent, mortgage, insurance, loans, the stuff that's usually the same.
Then your variable costs. Utilities, groceries, gas, things that fluctuate.
And then the big one, incidentals, everything else.
And the real power isn't just the list itself. Haase explains it's about understanding your actual relationship with money, seeing the patterns you might miss otherwise, spotting where you could make changes, and like we said, seeing where all that leftover money really goes. It's like holding up a mirror to your habits.
And consistency is crucial, right? The manuscript emphasizes this isn't a one-and-done thing. You got to look at it every month.
Because things change. Costs go up, income might change. He tells that relatable story about his mother-in-law, how her budget had to totally shift after her husband passed away. What worked before just didn't apply anymore. Life happens. Your budget needs to adapt.
So the core message there is really actionable. Look at your budget. If you don't like what you see, you have to do something about it. Learn from it, adjust. Don't just shove it in a drawer.
Because, as Haase bluntly puts it, everyone else is trying to get your money. You're the only one who can truly control it for your own benefit.
Okay, so taking action, making changes, that needs direction, which the manuscript connects to setting financial goals. There's that quote from J.W. Wilson, "You can't make changes you don't know how to make."
Exactly. Goals give you that roadmap. Doesn't matter if it's saving for something specific, like a down payment, or tackling debt, or building wealth long-term, having a clear target gives your actions purpose.
And the source really stresses being specific, not just, I want to save money.
Right. It's $10,000 for a down payment on a car in 2 years. Or I'm putting aside $200 a month specifically for that vacation. The manuscript mentions those general rules like the 80-10-10 income split.
Yeah, for spending, saving, giving.
But rightly points out they're not one size fits all. Your situation is unique. Costs change, income changes.
I like that line Haase uses. Attention is the cheapest thing you can pay for.
It's great, isn't it? Just paying attention, tracking your spending, seeing your progress towards those specific measurable goals on your budget sheet, it makes the decision-making process so much easier.
And it's kind of motivating to see how small amounts add up. The manuscript points out, save just $20 a week.
And that's over $1,000 by the end of the year. It makes it feel achievable.
The material also touches briefly on basic investment accounts, like high-yield online savings. Low risk, which is good.
But it comes with that critical warning about inflation. If inflation's running at, say, 5%, that $100 you save today, next year, it only buys you about $95 worth of stuff.
Your money loses purchasing power, even if the number looks the same.
Exactly. Which is the key difference between just saving and actually investing for potential growth. So the source strongly advocates for creating a real financial plan, allocating parts of your income toward those specific goals you set.
Start small if you need to.
Yeah, but the goal is to increase those contributions as your income hopefully grows over time. Because trying to play catch-up later, that's way harder.
That statistic about baby boomer retirement savings is pretty sobering. Like 45% have nothing saved, and another chunk have less than $100.
It really highlights the burden of delaying consistent saving and investing.
And a non-negotiable part of that financial plan, according to the manuscript, building an emergency fund.
Absolutely. Framed as that safety net. Because,
Life happens.
it really does.
Yeah.
Haase gives examples in being an unexpected $400 bill pops up. Or something bigger like your car needing a major repair, the washing machine dying.
Or a tree falling on your fence. He mentions that, like $3,500.
Right. Or even just insurance rates jumping unexpectedly. He shares his own story of homeowners insurance going up 42% one year. The point isn't just that costs rise, they do. The point is having the financial flexibility, your ability to adjust when they inevitably do.
Okay, let's tackle debt because, like the manuscript asks rhetorically, do you know anyone over 25 who isn't in debt? It's just reality for most people.
But Haase is really clear. Not all debt is the same. He draws a line between good debt and bad debt. Good debt, he defines, is money you borrow for something that could potentially increase your net worth or generate income.
Right. Often with manageable interest, maybe some tax perks.
Like a mortgage on a home. Ideally, the home appreciates, and you need somewhere to live anyway. Or student loans, if they genuinely lead to higher earning potential down the road. Though the source does add that important caveat.
Yeah, citing that data, 35% feel college wasn't worth the cost, and only about 57% with a degree actually earn more than those without. So homework needed there too.
Definitely. Business loans, if used smartly to generate income, can also be good debt.
But then he shares that really powerful personal story about good debt turning bad.
Oh yeah, the house story. Sold one profitably, then built a huge expensive new one right at the peak of the market.
Terrible timing.
Awful timing. His pit trading career ended, the housing bubble burst, the value just plummeted like over 60%, lost the house, had to move his family. He calls it being completely blindsided, a gut punch.
Wow. It's such a stark reminder that even good debt needs serious thought, understanding the risks, the timing, having a plan B.
It really reinforces that earlier point about doing your homework, especially on huge decisions like college. Is the cost worth the potential payoff? Maybe community college first makes sense. Haase contrasts his own experience just picking a college based on location and cost. No real guidance with his friend Jason's path.
The entrepreneurial friend.
Yeah. Jason's parents apparently guided him by asking questions, getting him thinking. He was earning money for his next venture super young, had employees at 14, bought a truck at 15. His parents actively taught him about saving, about business from day one.
Such a different foundation. Okay, so that's good debt, potentially. What about bad debt?
Bad debt, according to the manuscript, is basically borrowing money for things that lose value quickly, things that don't generate income or improve your financial standing. And usually it comes with high interest rates, often tied to impulse buys.
Credit cards being the prime example.
Exactly. Using high-interest plastic to buy stuff that's worth less the moment you own it, that leads to that scary statistic. Haase mentions how it could theoretically take someone 59 years to pay off debt just making minimum payments.
Yikes. So the hallmarks of bad debt are clear. Depreciating asset, no financial gain, high interest, often non-essential or impulsive.
And the source connects carrying too much bad debt directly to relationship stress. If you're arguing about money frequently, it's often a sign there's too much debt pressure. It stresses being honest with your partner. Hiding financial worries is like a gambler chasing losses, just makes it worse.
So the takeaway on debt seems practical. Know the difference, focus energy on getting rid of the bad debt, and use good debt strategically, carefully, with your eyes wide open.
Right. And speaking of loans and stability, that flows naturally into credit scores. Your financial report card, basically.
The FICO score measures how risky you look to lenders. Range is 300 to 850, average around 715 lately.
Yeah, something like that. But the manuscript adds a note of caution. Even if the average score looks okay, the fact that credit card debt is soaring suggests a lot of people are maybe right on the edge.
Ties back to that point about emotional spending, right? Up to 80% can be impulsive. You got to understand the why.
Exactly. And your credit card balances. They massively impact your score through what's called your credit utilization rate.
How much you owe versus your total limit.
Right. Maxing out cards. Really bad for your score. It also affects your debt-to-income ratio, which is super important when you apply for big loans like a mortgage. And even opening new store cards just to get a discount. That adds to your available credit, which lenders look at.
The source tackles some common questions too, like should you carry a small balance on your cards?
And the answer is a clear no. Pay it off in full every month if you possibly can. There's zero benefit to carrying a balance. You just pay interest, and it keeps your utilization higher.
What about paying off your mortgage? Does that hurt your score?
Haase explains it can cause a small, temporary dip. Why? Because you're removing a long-standing major installment loan from your active credit mix. But it usually bounces back pretty quickly as your other positive credit history continues.
So basic ways to improve your score, according to the manuscript. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Pay everything on time, always. Pay down those revolving credit card balances. Don't necessarily close your oldest credit card accounts that HistoryLink helped you. Avoid opening a bunch of new accounts, especially right before you need a big loan.
Like a mortgage.
Exactly. And check your credit report regularly. Make sure it's accurate, no errors, no accounts you don't recognize.
The manuscript touches briefly on debt consolidation too, but kind of warns you off the services.
It suggests you can often contact creditors yourself. And yeah, warns about potential scams or services that might actually hurt your credit long term. Says if things are really bad, talk to a bankruptcy lawyer, get everything in writing. Always get things in writing.
And it really highlights the importance of credit when buying a home. They check your report multiple times during that process, right? Even just before closing.
Absolutely. Strong warning in the material. Do not open any new credit lines while you're in the mortgage process. Don't buy furniture for the new house on credit until after you close. Your mortgage history itself becomes a positive for your score over time, but yeah, paying it off way down the road might cause that tiny temporary dip we mentioned.
So the overall picture on credit, powerful tool, can help or hurt. Protections exist, but so do ways to get into trouble if you're not paying attention. Gotta understand the influences.
Okay, so once you're getting a handle on spending, debt, credit, the next logical step in the manuscript's flow is making your money work for you, investing.
Haase keeps it simple, right? Defines it like a forced savings plan, but with potential for growth. Unlike just putting money in a basic savings account where inflation might eat away at it.
Exactly. And he says the crucial first question isn't what should I invest in? It's what am I investing for?
The goal dictates the strategy. Retirement, house down payment, kids' education.
Right. Your goal guides your options. The manuscript mentions the diversified portfolios, stocks, bonds, real estate, all that, but points out a practical hurdle. If you have multiple advisors, lawyer, accountant, broker, they might not talk to each other. You end up having to be the coordinator.
For most people, a starting point is often a 401k through work, right?
Yeah. Haase really emphasizes the company match. If your employer offers one, take it. It's literally free money.
Can't argue with free money.
But he also notes that sometimes the 401k options can be confusing. Maybe just links from HR, not much explanation. And the plan itself might not be perfectly aligned with your specific goals or needs.
He talks about target date funds as a common, easy option in 401ks.
Right, the set it and forget it approach. They automatically adjust the risk level as you get closer to your target retirement date, which is convenient. But they're generic. They're not customized to your specific income needs in retirement, your other assets, your personal risk tolerance. It's a one-size-fits-most approach.
Okay. And he also explains the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA.
Yeah, the key difference is when you pay the taxes. Traditional IRA, contributions might be tax deductible now, but you pay income tax on withdrawals in retirement. Roth IRA. You contribute money you've already paid taxes on, post-tax. But then qualified growth and withdrawals in retirement are tax-free.
So the big question is, pay taxes now or pay taxes later?
It's exactly. Pay now when you know the rate, or pay later when tax rates could be higher or lower. Nobody knows for sure.
The manuscript definitely advises against dipping into retirement funds early, right? Loans, withdrawals, penalties are harsh.
Oh yeah, big penalties, taxes. Generally a bad idea unless it's an absolute last resort. Recommends rolling over your 401k to an advisor when you leave a job. Gives you more investment choices, more control.
He touches briefly on the shift away from pensions too.
Right. Pensions were defined benefit. The company promised you a certain income in retirement. They took the risk. 401ks are defined contribution. You contribute, maybe the company matches, but you bear the investment risk and the responsibility for building the fund. Big shift.
It all sounds complex, but Haase connects it back to that core idea. Knowledge gives you options.
And options give you freedom, financial freedom.
Beyond the 401k, the manuscript lists other ways to diversify investments. Like what?
Things like real estate owning land or rental properties, precious metals, maybe gold. Cryptocurrencies get a mention. Even investing in a business.
Then he ranks common options by risk level, generally.
Yeah, from stuff like futures at the very highest risk, all the way down to basic savings accounts at the lowest.
And he gives some pretty strong warnings about those high-risk ones. Futures.
His advice is basically, don't trade futures, go to Vegas instead. Says it all, really. Stock options, too, calls them incredibly complex, very high risk, lots of jargon. Basically says most individuals should steer clear unless they really know what they're doing or have expert guidance.
Okay, what about just plain stocks?
Acknowledges picking individual stocks can feel random, but says you can invest with calculated risk, using online platforms or advisors. Emphasizes looking for dividends, potential income, and crucially, again, do your homework.
Understand the company, the trends, the charts, the momentum.
Exactly, and a huge warning against acting on hot tips or getting involved in insider trading. Obvious legal risks aside, it's often just ego driving bad decisions. He does note that long-term, broad market investing, like tracking the DJIA over decades, has generally been positive.
But be wary of the TV experts.
Definitely. He points out they often own the stocks they're recommending. You need to understand their potential bias. Look at their disclosures if you can find them.
Okay, so maybe mutual funds or ETFs are more practical for many people.
Yeah, presented as more accessible ways to get into stocks and bonds. You pool your money with others, professional managers handle the investments. You get instant diversification, plus benefits like dollar cost averaging, investing a set amount regularly.
What's the difference between them again?
Mutual funds price once a day, after the market closes. ETFs trade like individual stocks throughout the day. Both still have market risk, of course, but generally less than picking single stocks yourself.
What about bonds?
Explained simply as loans. You're lending money to a government or a company. They promise to pay you back with interest. Generally lower risk than stocks, considered safer.
But not risk-free.
No, definitely not risk-free. Their value can go up or down, depending on what interest rates are doing overall. If rates rise, existing bonds with lower rates become less attractive.
Interestingly, Haase includes life insurance in the investment discussion.
Yeah, specifically whole life insurance, policies that build up cash value over time. He positions this cash value growth as having almost zero risk. You can borrow against it, use it like a personal bank. He also mentions long-term care policies, given rising healthcare costs, noting some have guarantees, presents insurance-based options as providing stability at the very low end of the risk spectrum.
Still need to check the insurance company's rating, though.
Oh, absolutely. Not zero risk, need a financially sound company.
And the manuscript circles back to general market risks, too. Volatility is just part of the game.
Right, and the DJIA. It's only 30 huge companies. Your own portfolio might do something totally different. He used a Black Monday in 1987 as an example. Market dropped over 22% in one day. He lived through that as a trader. Shows how fast things can change.
Mention strategies like following trends. The trend is your friend.
Yeah. And also that kind of cynical observation from his trading days that the market often seems to move in whichever direction it will cause the most pain to the most people, especially the professionals.
Huh. Okay, so bottom line, how much should you aim to save and invest according to this material?
Echoes the general expert advice. Aim for 10–15% of your income. Definitely factor in that 401k match again. Free money. Then consider adding more, maybe through an IRA or Roth, for extra growth and options. Your exact strategy depends on your age, goals, risk tolerance, timeline.
Closer to retirement, less risk.
Generally, yeah. Reduce risk as you get closer to needing the money. Mention CDs and money markets as low-risk options for short-term goals, but be aware of early withdrawal penalties.
The final thought on investing seems to be, history isn't a perfect predictor.
No guarantee.
But understanding past trends and market behavior is still really valuable for making informed decisions now.
Okay, now let's pivot to this section Haase calls what they don't tell you. This is all about recognizing those external forces constantly trying to separate you from your money. Starts with that scenario we all know.
That email popping up just when you're thinking about buying something, offering instant financing.
Exactly.
Right.
And the blunt truth Haase lays out. The seller wants the sale. They usually don't care if you go into debt to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
And the manuscript breaks down the tactics they use.
All sorts. Appealing to your emotions. Using peer pressure, what everyone else is doing on social media, just sheer repetition of ads. He mentions the classic persuasive methods. Ethos, using celebrities or experts for credibility. Pathos, hitting your emotions. Logos, using facts, though he says that's often the weakest link in marketing.
And humor. Super Bowl ads.
Right. And all that money spent on advertising, where does it come from?
Built into the price we pay.
Yep. Haase draws this really stark contrast between how supplements and actual drugs are regulated. Supplements, basically unregulated. They don't have to prove their claims work or even test for side effects.
He uses that memory supplement example, right? Failed as one thing, rebranded for memory loss based on puffery, even though studies showed it was basically useless.
Exactly. Whereas drugs have to go through years of rigorous testing, clinical trials, FDA approval. Puffery, he defines, is those claims that are supposedly so outrageous nobody should believe them, like world's best coffee.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Right. Legally okay because it's subjective exaggeration, but some people do believe it or are influenced by it.
And the core sales tactic for almost anything.
Talk only about the benefits. Omit or downplay the negatives. Think about drug ads, side effects, whispered really fast at the end. Or the JUL example, marketed as a smoking alternative without highlighting the potential health issues up front. Marketing often assumes we won't look deeper.
Misleading ads are everywhere. Cheap life insurance with hidden catches. Car ads showing driving that's totally unrealistic or even illegal.
And store tactics. Haase argues coupons aren't really about saving you money, they're bait. Get you in the door so you spend more.
He asks that great question. Have you ever walked out of a sale with more money than you walked in with?
Probably not. The word sale itself just triggers us to spend. Score credit cards, get a discount now, pay high interest later.
And they're collecting and selling our data constantly.
Oh yeah. Rebates too. He deconstructs those. Often designed to be a hassle, mail stuff in, meet deadlines because they're counting on your laziness, hoping you won't bother, or they give you store credit instead of cash.
He even touches on that creepy feeling. You talk about needing new shoes, suddenly ads for shoes follow you everywhere online.
Right. The big brother listening question. How much are they tracking?
And he ties all this back to how we're trained as consumers, often willing to go into debt just for status, because we're taught to believe money equals intelligence power.
But Haase really questions that link. Based on his trading floor days, he saw money didn't make people smarter, it just amplified who they already were. It's good or bad. Money makes you more of who you are.
That's a really powerful point, and it kind of brings us to the wrap-up of this deep dive, right? Pulling it all together, the core message seems to be getting control of your money is fundamental to actually living a better life.
Absolutely. We've gone through the mindset piece, awareness, the practical tools like budgeting, navigating debt and credit, the basics of investing, and now these external forces trying to influence us.
And Haase's central key, it seems, is that control starts with really understanding how you spend and why. Identifying those triggers, emotional or external.
And connected right to that is, do your homework. Not just for big investments, but for everyday purchases too. He uses examples like watches or diamonds. Price is often about branding and perception, not just quality. Our financial issues often stem from deeper psychological needs, like wanting status.
So the goals, the budgeting, the tools, they're not meant to be punishments. They're steps in a natural flow towards taking back control.
But Haase's really clear. The motivation, the self-discipline, the work, that has to come from you. You can't wait for your boss or someone else to teach you this stuff. He basically asks, given how much money impacts everything in our lives, Why aren't more people actively trying to learn about it?
It's a great question.
Because the ultimate purpose, according to this material, isn't just about getting rich. It's about opening your eyes, finding happiness and well-being through understanding yourself and making intentional choices, not just chasing more dollars.
Yeah, finance can feel boring sometimes or intimidating, but the manuscript makes the case that understanding it is crucial. It determines who's in control, you or your money.
It highlights the freedom that comes when you stop falling for the marketing hype, stop chasing status symbols that just lead to stress. Like that person who looks rich in their fancy car but is secretly drowning in debt. Cash poor.
Haase's final thought is really about reframing money, isn't it? See it as a tool to reach your goals, not something you're constantly trying to fix or chase.
Yeah. Question every purchase. Do I really need this? Why am I really buying this? Developing purpose in your spending.
Because when you take that control, based on awareness and intention, you free yourself up. You can actually enjoy life more. Focus on the moments that matter, which often don't cost much, instead of constantly being weighed down by worrying about money.
So we've taken this deep dive, using Bill Haase's manuscript as our guide, into our mindset around money. We've seen how understanding yourself, recognizing those external pressures, and making deliberate choices, that's the path to control.
Yeah, it's that journey from financial default
to
living with real financial intention, driven by knowledge, by self-discipline.
And the benefit isn't just a nicer looking spreadsheet. It's real life stuff. More options, more freedom, way less stress, and just the ability to savor life without that constant money anxiety hanging over you.
Which really leaves us, and you listening, with this final thought to chew on, building on the manuscript. Money touches every single part of your life, right? Daily stress, future dreams, everything. So the question is, are you truly in control of your money? Or is your money controlling you?